Managing logistics procurement means handling multiple suppliers, comparing complex bids, and negotiating the best possible terms. Logistics Negotiator Agent brings the entire process together through two portals, a buyer portal and a supplier portal. The buyer shares their requirements, suppliers submit their responses, and our super agent analyzes every bid across price, risk, KPI, sustainability, technology, and performance. It then identifies the best suppliers and negotiates with them on the buyer's behalf. From sourcing and analysis to negotiation, Logistics Negotiator Agent is a complete procurement solution.
Let's take a look at how Logistics Negotiator Agent works, starting with the buyer side. After logging in, the buyer lands on the RFQ dashboard, where they can view their existing procurement requests. To create a new procurement request, the buyer selects Create RFQ. The buyer then fills in the RFQ template with all the required details, including the RFQ reference, title, company details, response deadline, target price, currency, and other commercial requirements. They can also specify whether the price is negotiable and whether the best offer should be accepted automatically. The buyer then enters the pickup and arrival details, including the date and time, company or site name, address, city, state or region, postal code, and country. Once the required information has been filled in, the buyer moves forward to select the suppliers who will receive the RFQ. The available suppliers are those already onboarded through SAP TM. If a required supplier is not already available, the buyer can also use the Add Suppliers option to add them. Next, the buyer selects the AI analysis agents that will be used to evaluate the supplier responses. There are 6 agents available: price, KPI, risk, stability, technology, and sustainability. The price agent evaluates the commercial offer. The KPI agent looks at service levels, lead time, and capacity. The risk agent evaluates compliance and operational risks. The stability agent looks at reliability and financial stability. The technology agent evaluates digital and integration capabilities. And the sustainability agent focuses on ESG, emissions, and green initiatives.
The buyer can select the agents relevant to this RFQ and assign a weightage to each one. The total weightage is configured to equal 100%. Before sending the RFQ, the buyer can also decide exactly what information they want from the suppliers. They can add the required information fields to the supplier bid template, covering areas such as the commercial proposal, operational capability, risk and compliance, technology, sustainability and commitments, and the supplier's value proposition. Once everything has been reviewed, the buyer broadcasts the RFQ to the selected suppliers. Now we move to the supplier side. When a supplier representative logs in, they can see the new RFQ request on their dashboard. The supplier can open the request and review the details provided by the buyer. After reviewing the RFQ, the supplier can either accept the request and proceed with the bid or decline it. If the supplier accepts, they are redirected to the bid template. Here, the supplier fills in the information requested by the buyer. Once the supplier has completed the required information, they can submit the bid back to the buyer. A supplier can also choose to decline the RFQ. When they decline, the request is reflected as declined on their dashboard. Once the buyer has received the supplier bids, they can start the AI analysis. The buyer selects the option to evaluate all bids, and the selected AI agents begin analyzing the responses based on the agents and weightages configured earlier. Each agent evaluates the supplier bids according to its specific area. The results are then brought together by the super agent, which generates an overall score out of 100 for each supplier, based on the selected agents and their weightages. The platform also provides the reasoning behind the scores and generates an overall recommendation. The buyer can then view the AI-ranked supplier shortlist and compare the suppliers based on their scores, prices, match percentages, strengths, and evaluation results. If the buyer wants to negotiate with a supplier, they can select Start Negotiation. A negotiation parameters form opens, where the buyer can specify which terms they want to negotiate with. The supplier then receives the negotiation request on their dashboard and can accept it to enter the negotiation chat. From this point, the AI negotiation agent communicates with the supplier on behalf of the buyer. The AI agent reviews the supplier's existing offer and negotiates according to the parameters and targets defined by the buyer. The supplier can respond with counteroffers, and the AI agent evaluates those responses and continues negotiating until the agreed terms are reached. Once the negotiation is completed, the final negotiated terms are sent back to the buyer and become visible on the buyer dashboard. The buyer can then compare the final negotiated offers from the shortlisted suppliers, including the final price and other negotiated terms. Finally, the buyer selects the supplier they want to proceed with and awards the contract. This completes the entire procurement process.